your socks off?
No.
No.
I'm going to put on a little costume right now.
I still have one.
Extra credit for the first person that can tell me
Cat hat.
Yeah.
what the costume is of.
The guy right there.
Oh, Star Trek.
Star Trek Trika! Who is this guy right here? Anyone know? Captain Luke Picard. There's multiple different Star Treks. I didn't grow up on the original one. I grew up as a little kid watching my dad watch Star Trek The Next Generation. Captain Luke Picard looked like my dad. They were bald except for the side of the head. And he was the commander of the Starship Enterprise. I didn't even know what the word leader or leadership was when I was a kid. And it wasn't until a few months ago, reflecting back, because I always tell you guys experiences make you better, reflection on experience does, that I realized I was subconsciously learning a lot about leadership by watching my dad watch Star Trek Enterprise and Captain Luke Picard. We just hired a brand new superintendent in the Fountain Valley School District, and I gave her as a gift a smaller version, a metal version of this. Does anyone know what this is right here? It's my favorite piece of technology from the show.
Badge?
It's a badge, just like it's right here. You know what it does? You talk through it, okay? It's right here, and you touch it. And what Captain Luke Picard did is, you get older and have bosses, you realize how rare this is in leadership. Before he ever made a decision, took an action, he would be in constant communication with his team. And every member of the team had different expertise, and he would tap it and say, come in, Lieutenant, or come in, Sergeant, and he would ask their advice, ask their opinion, before he said, hey, here's what we're doing. Right. One of the biggest mistakes people think about leadership, realize that leadership is about listening. It's not just about commanding. And what I love about the pin, that the symbol of it is, and everyone had a costume like this, they had different colors but looked like this. Where is the badge located on everyone's costume?
The heart.
Right on top of your heart. And it's your job as leaders is to tap your heart, to touch your heart and listen before you talk. And we all mentioned, every one of us are leaders because of the very base foundational form is we all influence. We watched the speech yesterday by Muhammad, talking about how what you say determines how others feel. And then we need to decide, are we going to go from minimum influence to maximum influence? Positive, negative, short-term or lasting. And if you want to have a lasting impact, build a habit. It goes back to the I'm Great challenge, as Lucas asked me when he started class today, is bad leaders ignore feedback. Good leaders listen to it, but great leaders seek it out. And that's the rare thing. Captain Luke Picard would tap on his heart and seek out the opinion of his crew. They didn't always agree with it or do what they asked. Sometimes he had to have tough conversations. But he was always thinking, what is the moral, ethical decision that helped the entire Federation, the entire ship? How often every day are you tapping your heart and listening before you talk? Beautiful. We don't do it enough. We don't listen enough. We have to be more engaged. And so I gave this pen to Dr. Staff and said, as our new leader, our new CEO, I hope you'll tap your heart and seek the feedback of everyone in our organization, over 700 employees. To the words that Captain Picard is always saying throughout the show: engage and energize. And sometimes that means he's talking about energizing weapons or engaging weapons, or every episode is a life or death situation. But engage and energize. When you're giving speeches next week, that's your goal. What matters more than the words you say is how you say the words. Are you engaging and energizing your audience by how you're talking? You're tapping your heart and listening before you talk. And then when you're talking, are you engaging and energizing your crew? Every day it matters because you determine how other people feel. And one of the beautiful things Captain Luke Picard did in every episode was he had a verbal journal, and he talked to the ship. He's captain's log, and he would reflect on how the mission went that day. He would reflect on what he did well. He would reflect on what he can do better. He was constantly seeking perpetual improvement. And I encourage her to reflect too. As leaders, there's three main pillars we're trying to improve upon. We're trying to change people's possibilities for the future. We're trying to improve their performance now. And we're trying to make them better people forever. Their possibilities, their performance, and them as people. So often we only focus on the performance instead of changing possibilities and improving them as people. You want to improve your people's performance, yes, but more importantly, you want to improve your people. And you got to lead with your heart to be able to do that. You got to listen to be able to do that. You got to reflect. And you got to energize and engage to be able to do that. I told Dr. Stopp that before her first official day in the job, she's already changed the possibilities for some people. I was talking to my 10-year-old niece, Lily, who's going to be 11 in 2 days. And I said, hey, this is last week. I said, hey, tomorrow I'm bringing the new CEO, the new superintendent to your school to see you. And she said, her little 10-year-old mind said, what's his name? I said, her name is Dr. Catherine Stopp. She goes, a girl? I said, yeah. She goes, a girl can be the boss? I said, yeah. She goes, I thought only boys could be the boss. And there's a great picture. The next day, I bring her over to Plavin, and someone took a picture of me standing there. There's Dr. Stopp kneeling down, talking to my niece and her best friend, Lydia. And these two girls looking up to the new superintendent. And they're seeing two things. One, first and foremost, they're looking at literally the new superintendent. But they're also seeing a better future for themselves. Greater possibility that they can be a leader too. They can be a girl boss. They're not just stuck for the men. And already on day one, before day one, she's changed possibilities. Every day of your lives, as you go on this campus, in your homes, in your community, how are you giving people a greater vision for their life? Exposing them to greater values so they can have an ultimate victory. How are you becoming a better person every single day so you can make your people better, you can improve their performance, and you can change your possibilities? And I hope you'll be like the fictional character, Captain Luke, to unlock that great present we talked about, enthusiasm. There's no greater gift than the gift of today. How are you using it to advance other people? Hopefully, you tap your heart and listen before you talk. You engage and you energize, and you reflect on what you did and how you can do it better tomorrow. I learned that as a young kid watching my dad watch a show. What you're going to do right now, and it's going to be kind of hard at first, but nothing makes you better. You're going to reflect right now on what have you learned about what it means to lead and be a leader, be a person that impacts, from someone in your family. From, again, I didn't learn it directly from my dad, I learned it indirectly. Maybe an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a guardian, a babysitter, older sibling. It's going to take some time, but you're going to write a minimum of 2 paragraphs right now, what I just verbalized for you as an example. And you're going to write, what do you know about who you are, your values and vision for your life, and your ability to help others gain that too, by what you've been taught directly or indirectly, good or bad, from people who helped raise you up. Does that make sense? So you might spend some extra time reflecting right now, it's fine, and then pen it to paper. Pen it to paper. All right, let's get started, please.